You can draw a picture about someone spying something.
Yeah. So one of the things that we're going to talk about with mysteries is that a mystery story needs to have a setting. A setting is the place where the mystery happens, right? And usually a mystery is more interesting when the setting is something more like a scarier, gloomier, more ominous setting. Like a mystery, I think, is more interesting not when it was a bright and sunny day and there were clouds in the sky.
What about a cave? What about a cave? Can we do the...
A mystery.
Can I tell you something?
Yes.
No, I'm gonna draw in a water park.
Okay.
Can we do the mystery, the question mark villain?
Oh, the Riddler. Fantastic. Yeah, we can definitely work that in. So, okay, I assume this is probably everybody that's here. Let's begin to talk about mysteries. So I know that Juliana has a whole collection of Nancy Drew mystery books. Is that true, Juliana?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have 48.
She has 48 Nancy Drew mystery books. And so therefore, Juliana probably can tell us who Nancy Drew is.
She's a detective.
She is a detective. Does anybody know what a detective is?
I'm drawing a cat.
Besides Juliana, because obviously Juliana knows. Mila, do you know what a detective is? Sammy knows. What is it, Sammy?
It's a sashik. Someone who can find stuff and...
Yeah, somebody that solves crimes. Exactly. That's exactly right. So what we're going to do...
And sometimes I do that at home.
You solve crimes at home? Who commits crimes in your home?
She.
You commit your own crimes and then you solve them? Yeah. Okay, well, terrific. Let's talk about mysteries, because I know not everybody has a collection of 48 Nancy Drew books. So we are going to talk about mysteries. And
My cat.
Oh yeah, I can see it now. Okay, I see it's in black pen. And I want to thank Daniel for inspiring our topic, because yesterday Daniel told us about the mystery of when the number turns 10 or something. What was it, Daniel?
It's already his birthday, I think. When the 10 disappears.
When the 10 disappears, something like that. When the 10 disappears, it's going to be his birthday. So he inspired me to think about other mysteries, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so a mystery. I'm going to show you I made a little presentation, of course, and we're going to talk about that. And I promised Mila that we are going to use Evil Bad and Puppet Papa and the girl and Gerardo, and we're going to do a popcorn story. All of that is going to happen today. So we have a
pizza.
And pizza.
Pizza story.
Oh, pizza story. Oh no, I don't think we're going to have time for that one. But we could have pizza in our mystery story. But we got to get moving because we have a lot to do today. Okay, so.
I want a pizza story. Then we go to 4 o'clock. Presents. Loading.
Okay. All right. So the first question we have is, what is a mystery, right? What is a mystery? Whenever we ask a question like what, how, where, when, and why, and whose, all those questions, those are all, whenever a story has lots of questions that are not answered, and somebody has to figure out the answers, that
is a mystery.
That is good. That's right. That's a good sign that this is a mystery. What do you guys think of when you see this picture of this person?
He doesn't have a head.
Can you see his face?
No.
No. What is it? What is looking at this picture make you feel? What does it make you feel?
I see his face is black.
His face is dark. It's hidden in the shadows, right? What else? What is looking at this
But
picture?
I can see his hat and the clothes.
What does it make you feel? How does it make you feel when you look at this picture?
A little spy guy. So he's trying to do that so no one sees him. Maybe it's the evil dad did that.
Maybe, but
Maybe
it's
he took a black marker and drew it.
no, this is not done with black marker. This is done with light and shadow, right? So we can see that the things that we can see his coat, we can see his suit, we can see his shirt and his tie, and we can see his hat, but we can't see his face, right? What's the more interesting part of this picture? The clothing that he's wearing or the part that we can't see?
Part that we can't see.
Part that we can't see. We want to know, right? We're like cats. People are kind of like cats. We're very curious. We want answers. Who is this person? What is he doing here? Why is he here?
Me like clowns do that. People are like a cat. That's why I drew a cat.
There you go. Perfect, Aya. Good segue. It's exactly right. We are interested in what is it about this person? Why is he here? Why can't we see his face? Why is his face hidden in shadow? Is he scary? Is he a good person? Is he a bad person? Is it even a person at all? Maybe it's just a suit and a tie and a shirt and a coat on a coat hanger, and instead of a face, there's just a balloon underneath that hat. There's no person there. Maybe. We don't know.
I see his nose.
Oh, you see his nose. Okay, so there you go. That's a clue.
I see the whole thing.
You see the whole thing? This person is, we can say, mysterious, right? Because we don't know a lot about him or her. Could be a woman.
The whole thing.
Could be a woman, right? We don't know.
That's him because he has man wearing.
This could be, even though this person is wearing a man's clothing, it's possible that this is a woman, right?
Or a man.
In disguise. It's possible that this is a boy.
Mom pretended it to be you. She wears man clothes.
Oh, yeah?
Or it's a black balloon.
Yeah.
Or that's a black guy. Or that's a black skin guy.
It could be a person with black skin. It could be a person with light skin. It could be a person with skin that's like not light and not dark. Could be a person with brown skin. It could be a lot of different things. The point is, we don't know. And the reason we're still talking about this picture is because it's interesting to us. Yes, Mila.
How do you spell princess?
How do you spell princess? Princes. Okay, so mysteries are interesting to us because they leave a lot of unanswered questions and they make us want to ask questions. That's why this picture is interesting to us, right? It's interesting to us because we don't know who this person is or why they're here, right? So let's talk about mysteries and what are the different parts of a mystery. And I'm sure that Juliana will recognize some of these from the Nancy Drew books, but we're going to talk about the different components, the different parts of a mystery, okay?
How do you like my cat?
I love your cat.
But I don't have a real cat.
You don't? Well, that's probably why you drew this cat. Maybe you really want a cat. Okay, so the first component of a mystery is called a hook. Yes, Aya.
Like Captain Hook.
Like Captain Hook, except this hook, what is a hook for? Like this is a fish hook, right? It's for catching fish. What does it do? You put a fish.
Hook has a hook on his hand. That's why they call him Captain Hook.
That's true.
And he's a pirate. You could put fish food on it.
Yes, you can put fish food on it, which is called bait, right? You put fish food on it, and it
And you
makes
can put food on the like on the hook on Captain Hook's hook.
Yes, you can. Yes, Juliana.
Like Captain Hook is grabbing fish with his hook.
Yeah, Juliana's got an origami cat. I see that. Very cool. So we got 2 cats now. So a hook is something that you put some bait on it, and then the fish swims over and it tries to eat the bait, and it gets caught on the hook, right? Yes, Juliana.
As many more origami cats.
Very nice. Do they come out of a book? It's like a book of origami things that you can make.
There's instructions in paper. I got it from my seventh birthday.
Oh, that's.
I can't see the like the hook thing. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
All right, let's continue. So a hook is something that we use when we try to catch fish, right? Well, when we talk about a mystery, a hook is something that the person that writes the story uses to catch the person that's reading the story, right? We are the readers. All of us here, when we're reading a mystery story, we are the readers. The hook is the thing that catches our attention, right? Why is the story interesting for us? Why do we care? And that's the same thing that we saw when we just looked at this picture of the man in his coat, right? And the hat. The hook here is the fact that we can't see the
No, if it's a man.
Yeah, we don't know if it's a man. We assume it's a man because he's wearing men's clothing, but it could be a woman. And what's the hook here is what
Maybe
we can't.
a woman is wearing a boy dad clothing.
Yes, she could be wearing men's clothing. So what's interesting here for us is that we cannot see the face of the person, and that is the hook. And that makes us ask a lot of questions, right? So that's what a hook is. And so that's one of the most important parts of the mystery. What is it that makes us interested in this story, right? If we start reading a story and there's no hook, well, we don't really care. We're not really interested in the story, right? But here we need that in order for us to want to give our attention to the story. Yes, Aya. Stop making noise. Yes.
And my cat has big, huge eyes.
Terrific. Hi, Remy. Welcome. Remy, we're talking about mysteries today. And we're talking about did you see our picture of the mysterious person in the coat and the hat? Yeah. So we're talking about the parts of a mystery. What makes a mystery story? And the first part of the story is a hook, right? Something that gets us interested in the story. The second part of a mystery is there needs to be a setting, right? A setting is where does the story take place? And like I was telling you before, yeah, a story could take place on a playground when it's a bright, sunny day, but the feel of a mystery, it's like the feel of that picture that I showed you guys, right? The feel of a mystery, it should be something kind of dark, maybe kind of unknown, right? So the setting for a mystery is probably more interesting if it's like, I don't know, which one is more interesting for you guys? So I was just walking down the street and it was a bright and sunny day, or it was a dark and stormy night. The rain was pouring hard and the wind was blowing against the windowsills. There were all kinds of strange noises outside. Suddenly,
and there was monsters.
Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Which of these things do you guys think is more interesting? Do you want to find out what happens when I keep walking down the street? Or do you want to find out who rang the doorbell? Who rang the doorbell, right? It's much more interesting. It's much more captivating. Right away, we have our setting. It's a dark and stormy night. It was raining with wind outside, right? You can see that in your mind. And the hook, what's the hook? What's the hook?
Who rang the bell?
Who rang the doorbell. Somebody rang the doorbell. Who would be outside on such a dark and stormy night when it's raining outside, when it's dark and cold and unpleasant to be outside? Somebody came to your front door, and for some reason, they rang your doorbell. Yes, Mila.
Maybe it's
Yes, Mila, yes. Mila Princess, yes.
It's a wind. It's a witch.
It could be a witch. It could
Or
be
maybe
bad.
it's Captain Hook.
Maybe it's Captain Hook. We don't know. That's
Maybe
the.
it's evil bad.
Maybe it's evil bad.
Yeah.
Maybe it's evil bad. The whole point is that we don't know, and it's the things. Yes, Daniel. Are you just holding up your spaceship? It's the things that we don't know that make us interested in the story. The hook, right? So we have our setting. It was a dark and stormy night. The wind was howling outside in the rain.
What's like a hook for scary stuff?
The rain was pouring down, and our hook is the thing that grabs our attention. Suddenly, the doorbell rang, right? Okay, let's go back to our components, our parts of the mystery. Now we know that we need to have a hook, we need to have a setting, and now the next part of the story is usually we need to have some sort of crime, right? What's a crime? What is a crime?
Like someone doing something bad.
Somebody does something bad, right? Somebody does something that's against the law. Somebody does something that hurts somebody. Maybe they don't hurt evil bad, please. Maybe they steal something. Maybe they kill a person. Maybe they break something. Maybe they do something that's done, right? There needs to be a crime.
A person, like, it's not even a bad guy, like, doesn't want to kill a person.
Yeah, I mean, it could be there are different kinds of crimes, right? Crimes can be stealing, killing, breaking things, all kinds of different crimes out there. But the point is, we need to have somebody does something bad. Usually that's what happens in a mystery. Something bad happens. And in order for something bad to happen, somebody needs to make it happen, right? So let's go back to our story.
I think it's Captain Hook because Captain Hook is bad. I can't hear you. And again, can't hear you. And witches. Either.
How about now?
Yeah.
Great. So
now I can hear.
You see this kind of turning into a pop.
So you leave your audio?
My audio is working fine now, right?
No, okay. No, but you leave your audio to do it?
No, I am sometimes for some reason my audio just stops working. It's okay. It's fixed now. So we have our hook, we have our setting. Let's keep going with our story that we started to tell. So it was a dark and stormy night. The rain was pouring hard outside, and the wind was whistling, and it was loud, and it was strong, and it was rattling the window panes. And all of a sudden, the doorbell rang. I walked slowly to the door, and I carefully turned the doorknob, and I opened the door. And in the doorway was standing a little girl. She was drenched. What does drenched mean, Dove?
When water is going down.
When you're completely soaked with water, when you're completely wet. On the doorway was on the doorstep of my house was standing a little girl. She was maybe 7 years old. And she was very sad. She was crying. And she looked really deflated.
What is deflated?
Really devastated.
What does that mean?
Dove, what does deflated mean?
Deflated means like when a ball could be deflated, or you could feel deflated inside, like
Yeah, imagine how a ball feels and looks when there's no air inside of it, right? It's just like empty and it doesn't bounce, and it's kind of just like right? So the little girl,
like flat.
it's like flat. Yeah, so the little girl that was standing on my doorstep, she looked deflated. She looked really, she didn't have any energy. She was just really,
Very sad.
she was very sad, very, very tired. Yeah, just, right? She was
like the punish the guy in my duck.
Yes, exactly.
She was at your house and she did not have any energy because she did not eat any food.
I don't know why she didn't have any energy yet, but she stood on my doorstep. She was completely drenched. She was soaking wet from the rain, and she was shivering from the cold because it was so cold outside. It was the middle of the night, and she was so sad. She looked
rain in the house, and her tears was in the house. That's why it was wet.
She was so sad and so tired, and as she stood, stop it though, sit down. As she stood on my, hang on.
And maybe she was in her bed and her bed was wet because she had tears in her bed.
Well, right now she's standing on the doorstep of my house, and she was very sad. And as she stood there on the doorstep I had the door open, I could see the rain and the wind outside, and it was raining so hard that the rain started to get inside my house, and inside the house started to be wet from the raindrops. And she was standing there shivering on the doorstep. And of course I said, come in, quickly, come in. You're so wet and cold. What's wrong? And I invited her to come inside the house. And she came inside the house, and I closed the door, and I quickly ran to my closet, and I got a towel, a big towel, and I wrapped her in this towel because she was soaking wet, and I sat her down in front of the fireplace so she could get warm, right? So now we have a lot of story already happening, right? We have a hook. Somebody rang the doorbell. It was a sad little girl who was for some reason outside alone in the rain and the storm, right? We have a setting. It was a dark and stormy night. I was at home and I got this unexpected visitor, right? And so we have a lot of parts of our story. This is what we need for a mystery. We need things that keep us on the edge of our seat. Do you know what that means, you guys, on the edge of your seat?
What's going to happen next?
Well, that's exactly what we want you guys to ask, right? That's the question. When everybody wants to know what's going to happen next, that means we have a good mystery, right, Juliana?
Is the girl going to be bad? Or...
I don't know. Yes, Juliana.
Mila, it said the princess is misspelled.
That's true. You're missing an E. There's an E after the C, Mila, in princess. Princes. Okay, so I bring the little girl inside. I wrap her in the towel. I put her in front of the fireplace, and I go to the kitchen, and I make her a cup of hot chocolate so she can warm up. And she's sitting in front of my fireplace, wrapped in a towel, still shivering, still crying, still sobbing, right? And I sit down next to her and I say, okay, tell me what's wrong, right? And she takes a sip of her hot chocolate, and she gets a little bit of her strength back. She gets a little bit warmer, and she looks up at me with her sad eyes, and she says, my puppy is missing. Your puppy is missing, I say. Yes, she says, he's missing. I went to take him for a walk right before the storm started. I went to walk him, and I got almost back to my house, and then just for a second, I stopped at my mailbox to check if we had any mail, and I could already see the storm starting. The clouds were coming in, and I was starting to feel the first raindrops on my hands and on my face, and it was starting to get dark outside. And I just walked over to my mailbox for just a second, and I opened my mailbox and I looked inside to see if there was any mail, and there wasn't. So I closed the mailbox, and then I looked around and my puppy was gone. I looked everywhere. I ran around the whole neighborhood, and it had already started raining, and it was starting to get completely dark, and the wind kicked up, and it was getting really cold and wet outside, and I was running around and looking for my puppy. I ran all around the block, and I ran around the next block, and then I went and checked all around the house, and I was starting to get completely soaked from the rain, and it was cold, and it was dark now, and I was looking for my puppy, and then I went and ran around the block again, and then before I knew it, I kind of lost my way. I didn't even know where I was anymore. It was so dark and it was so cold and I was so disoriented. And then I saw your house. I saw your house and I saw that the lights were still on, even though it's so late. And so I figured I would just ring the doorbell because I didn't know what else to do.
What's next?
Exactly.
Next?
Exactly.
What's after the hook?
We want to know what's next. So
What's after the setting? What's after the setting?
This is the question. Now we don't know. Do we think maybe a crime has happened?
Maybe we open the door and you come in and we grab the towel from our bathroom and we soaked you.
So maybe a crime has been committed here. I don't know. Maybe somebody, what do you guys think? Maybe somebody stole her puppy, or maybe the puppy just ran away. Maybe the puppy got scared.
Someone stole it. No, the dog ran away and then someone stole it.
Maybe somebody stole it.
Or
maybe the dog ran away and then it got lost and somebody stole it.
Maybe.
Or maybe Captain Hook with his hook grabbed the puppy and put him into the ship.
Maybe. What do you think, Rami? You had your hand up.
Maybe the girl was really from a mean pack and was lying.
Maybe she was lying. Maybe. That's a good point. Maybe she was. So we don't know yet, but we do know what our setting is. We definitely have a hook now.
I actually can't cry to make myself cry when I'm not upset. So maybe she didn't trick you because she was crying.
Oh, that's a real, oh, look at that. Alexa is a detective. Alexa already is starting to think a little bit, right? What's going on in the story? Is this girl, was she crying for real, this girl? Was she really sad? Or was she maybe faking it? We don't know. Here was this girl, she was so little and so cold and so sad and so deflated. I had to invite her in because she was standing outside. She was soaked in the rain. I had to invite her in, but is she telling the truth? Is there even a puppy at all? Is that really the reason why she showed up at my doorstep? We don't know. That's a really good point, Alexa. Amazing. Very good. So this is our... Maybe she wants to live in a different house. We don't know anything yet, but we definitely know one thing. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe her parents threw her outside, right? So we don't know exactly what's going on yet, but we do know one thing, which is we definitely want to know what happens next, right? And that means we're telling a good story here because everybody wants to know what happens next. Good, sit down, have a seat. We'll keep going. So now we have our parts of the mystery, right? So we have our hook. We definitely have our setting. We maybe have a crime. We don't know yet if a crime has been committed. We don't know if her puppy has been stolen or not. We don't know if a crime is
happen next. Can you?
Yeah, we don't know if a crime has been committed yet, but something is definitely wrong. We can agree on that, right?
What's this?
Something is definitely wrong. This is the next part of a mystery, right, Juliana? this part of the mystery is very important because in order for us to move forward with the story, somebody needs to be there to try to solve the mystery, right? And that person is usually called a sleuth or a detective, right? That's usually the hero of our story. So in this story that we're telling now, I can be the detective maybe, or maybe Dove can be the detective because he's home too. Dove, do you want to be the detective? No. Okay, maybe then.
The detective.
Who wants to be the detective?
Sasha, I want you to be the
You
detective.
want me to be?
Maybe the boy from the story.
Dove, Dove wants to be the detective. Okay, so Dove will be in this story. Then Dove will be home, right? So let's do that. So now we know our hook. We're definitely interested in this story. We want to know what happens next. We know that it's happening on a dark and stormy night. We know that there's something is wrong. Maybe there's a crime that's been committed, but something is definitely wrong.
Who's drunk
Now,
on the street?
and now we have our detective. Yes, Juliana. Juliana, what's up?
Maybe evil bad made the crime.
Maybe. We don't know. We're going to find out. Okay, so I'm going to be the detective in this story. And Dove is going to be helping me. We're both going to be detectives, right?
No, I'm going to tell what happened.
Well, in order to tell what happened, you have to figure out what happened. Okay, so what happens now is we're sitting. Don't tear my clothing. Please.
I want to tell them what happened.
Hang on a second. So I'm sitting there in front of.
I want the kid to be the detective.
I'm sitting in front of the fireplace with this girl, and she just told me the story about how her dog went missing, and here she is. She turned up on my doorstep on this dark and stormy night, and then I realized I don't even know her name. I don't even know the girl's name. So I ask her, I say, "What's your name, little girl? What's your name? Tell me your name." And she says, "My name is Dora." And I say, "Well, Dora, it's nice to meet you. My name is Sasha, and I'm glad you're here, and I'll do what I can to help." And then in order to figure out what happens next and what happened in the situation, I probably have to start asking her some questions, right? I need to know more. What kind of questions should I ask Dora about?
When is her birthday?
Okay, let's ask her when her birthday is. Hey, Dora, when is your birthday? How old are you? And she says, my birthday is on August 21st, and I am 6 years old. Right? What else should we ask her? In order to know what happened in the situation.
How does her pet look like?
Oh, that's a really good question. I say, Dora, tell me more about your dog. What does your dog look like? You said it's a puppy, right? What's a puppy? A puppy means it's a little dog or a young dog.
Papa,
yeah.
Why are you just making one just silly kid?
I'm gonna bring you in in a second. Okay?
No, so
Just,
and where did you last see your puppy? Oh, Papa, you're gonna tell them the story, and then when you're done, we're gonna switch jobs, and you're gonna that you want, like I'm doing right now, and I'm gonna tell what happens in the story.
you want to keep telling what happens in this story? Okay. Well, can we take it one piece at a time, like a popcorn story?
No.
We're learning about how to build a mystery, so we're going to take it one step at a time. We're not going to tell the whole story right away.
No, this was my chair. You did this many? This was my chair. What? Tell them how many you did.
That's fine, but can we do it one at a time instead of telling the whole story right away? Let's take it one step at a time. I'm going to ask you to give me some information now, but just be patient, okay?
No, I want to tell the story.
So
now it's my turn to tell the story.
Okay, but we need to take it one piece at a time because I'm teaching the kids how to build a mystery story. Okay, so I'm going to ask Dove for some suggestions in a minute, okay? He's going to help us tell the story as well. So we asked Dora.
I want to do it by myself like you're doing.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So come over here and be the leader of the lesson. Come over here then.
You're gonna help.
Come sit down. And so where we are now is we're trying to figure out some good questions to ask Dora so that we can figure out the situation, like what's going on. So can you lead us through that? Can you ask some of the kids what types of questions we should be asking her?
Guys, what types of questions should we be asking her? Fine. Where did you last see your dog?
Where did you last see your dog? Well, says Dora, I think I told you I was walking the dog, and then I walked over to the mailbox in front of my house, and I was checking the mailbox. I opened it up to see if there was any mail inside, and I can't remember if I was holding the leash in my hand when I did that. I can't remember if I had the leash in my hand and if it just slipped out of my hand while I was checking the mail, or if I set the leash down. I just can't remember, she says, because it was raining and it was already like starting, the storm was starting, and I was just trying to get back inside with my dog, and I just can't remember. I remember I opened the mailbox. I don't know if I had the leash in my hand, but the last time I saw him was when I walked over to the mailbox and I opened it. That was the last time. Okay.
Maybe, guys, what do you think? Maybe he jumped in the mailbox?
Well, we can ask her. So Dora, did maybe the dog just jumped in the mailbox after you opened it and then you turned around and closed it and didn't see? No, she says, definitely not. I definitely remember closing the mailbox and then looking around, and I couldn't see my dog anymore. But when I looked inside the mailbox, it was empty, and then I closed it. So he definitely didn't jump into the mailbox.
Yeah, because you were looking there.
Definitely. So that it's definitely not in the mailbox. So what else? What other kind of questions should we ask Dora?
Maybe. What does your dog look like?
What does who said that?
Juliana.
Juliana.
I already said that.
Yeah, and Rami said it before, I think. What does the dog look like, Dora? Tell us more about this dog. What does it look like? Is it big? Is it small? Is it medium size? Is it black? Is it chocolate colored? Is it white? Is it white with a black spot? What does it look like? Well, says Dora, this is a brown puppy. He's about this big, like the size, he's like the length of a cucumber, like the length of a big cucumber. And he's brown, and his fur is very soft, and it's short, and he's got big floppy ears, right? And he's not very tall. He's only a puppy, so he's not very tall at all. He's maybe like as tall as a sheet of paper. You know, he's pretty short. So he's got smooth, short brown fur. He's got big floppy ears, and he's not very big.
I think he's like Dex.
Yeah, maybe he's like Dex, the superhero dog. Okay, what else should we ask Dora?
Where are your parents?
That is an excellent question, Mila. We have a 6-year-old girl who showed up on our doorstep in the middle of the night, soaking wet. She lost her dog. Where are her parents? That's probably one of the most important questions we can ask her.
I have an idea.
Do 6-year-olds just like walk around by themselves in the middle of the night in the rain?
No.
No.
I don't know. Maybe the dog was there, and then when she left, she just dropped it and she forgot it, and then the parents opened the door and they saw the dog and they taked it in the home, and then she turned around and then she didn't see it.
That's a really good point. So, Dora, where are your parents, Dora? That is the big question. And Dora, I see your hands up, guys. Hang on a second. Let's answer this question. So, Dora, where are your parents? Well, says Dora, my mom is working late. She's still at work. and my dad was taking a nap upstairs when I went to walk the dog. So I think he's still at home. He was taking a nap, and I went to walk the dog. I say, wow, Dora, you're a very brave and independent little girl. You're walking the dog by yourself, fairly late in the evening. Did you tell your dad that you were going to walk the dog? And Dora says, well, I was actually supposed to walk the dog earlier, but I was playing Legos and I was watching cartoons, and I just kind of forgot. And then I remembered, oh my gosh, I have to walk the dog. And it was already so late, but I felt really bad. I knew that I had to walk the dog, so I just decided to do it. And so I took the dog out for a walk much later than I usually do. And that's what happened. And I say, well, wait a minute. If your dad, if your mom is still at work, she thinks that you're just with your dad, but your dad was taking a nap and you left the house and now you haven't been home. Your dad must be really worried about you, right? If you're not home and it's raining and storming outside and it's the middle of the night and you haven't come home, your dad must be super scared. He doesn't know where you are, right? Yes, Juliana.
Well, it was about where the parents.
Oh, you had the same question? Very good.
No, it was about
Oh, you had an idea about where they are?
No, I had an idea.
Wait, Daniel, what question did you want?
They are outside looking for her. Maybe her just play Lego and forgot Mama is working and Daddy's taking a nap and run to dog and take the leash and go out.
I think that's what happened, Daniel. I think you're right. I think it sounds like Dora is telling us that she just kind of was playing and she forgot that she had to take the dog out, and then she just decided to do it even though it was already getting really late. So now we know.
Papa, I had an idea.
Go ahead.
Where the mom and dad were.
Oh, you do?
Mm-hmm. And that's the right one. So mom was working and dad was at home playing Legos with Kyler.
With Kyler?
Mm-hmm.
Who's Kyler?
Kyler he's like a little baby, maybe 3 years old.
Okay, that's fine. So let's use that. So let's say that she tells us that she has a little brother named Kyler who's 3, and he was also playing Legos, and then maybe also went to take a nap with the dad. Right? They were together. They were playing Legos, and then they went. Okay.
No, they didn't take a nap. They take a nap at the same time with Dora,
okay.
But they were just playing.
Okay,
Legos.
They were playing Legos. Okay, so they were playing Legos in a room upstairs, and they didn't know that she left, right? Okay, great. Yes, Juliana.
I had an idea of where the parents were.
You did? What was your idea?
Well, it's not really where the parents were, but she was an orphan. I saw.
Oh, an orphan. What's an orphan?
It means that she has no parents.
She has no parents. That would have been a really interesting idea as well. Let's hold that one. I like that idea, but let's hold that one just for a second.
How was she born without of any parents?
It's 2:45.
Yes. So let's move this story along. Yes.
How is that girl born without of parents? She can't just be born without of any parents.
Well, an orphan is not somebody that's not born. They have parents. It's just that their parents are not around. So an orphan is somebody like, for example, you can be born and then your parents leave, and then you just. Or
they die.
Then they forget about you. and then they forget about you and get another kid.
Yeah.
Work, or it's too much work.
Yeah, usually an orphan is somebody who doesn't have parents because they died. That's usually why somebody would be an orphan, right? But that's like super sad, and so I kind of wanted to have a slightly less sad situation for Dora. So let's say
No, just do the story.
yeah, let's keep going with the story. Okay, you can cry. So let's continue on with the story. And so Diora tells us that she left the house because she had.
We want to see how Dove cries.
He's sitting and crying over there. So he got really sad thinking about orphans, which is something that people usually get sad thinking about because it would be.
Well,
pretty.
I want to see how he's crying.
He's over there. He's not here. So if he wants to come in.
But can you put the camera on him?
No, I don't think
Turn
so.
it around.
It's kind of a private moment, so we're not gonna do it. Okay, so okay, man. You want a hug? No, you're fine. He's fine. Okay. All right. So so then I say, listen, Diora, this is really bad because your dad is probably freaking out. He doesn't know where you are. And he's probably called the police by now to try to find you because it's so late and you haven't come home, right? And so then I say, well, Diora, do you know where you live? Do you know your address? Do you know the address of your house? And she says, I can't remember. I know that it has 2 and a 3 in it, and I know that it's 3 numbers, but I can't remember the third number. I can't remember if it's 235 Apple Lane or 239 Apple Lane. For some reason, I can't remember right now. And I say, okay, well, we know, it sounds like you know the street that you live on. You know, you live on Apple Lane, right? So what do we do next? What do you guys think?
Go to Apple Lane.
We should go to Apple Lane, right? So I say, Diora, come on, finish your hot chocolate. And we get into my car and I buckle her up in the booster seat because I have one for Dove. And
how old is that guy? Oh, you
I take her, I put her in the booster seat. Dove sits down in the inflatable booster seat next to her in the back seat. And we drive over to Apple Lane, which turns out to be 4 blocks away, right? So we drive over to Apple Lane, and we don't know which house is her house, but we don't know the number of her house, but she knows what her house looks like, right? So I ask her, Diora, when you see your house, can you point to me and show me the one that it is? It's very dark. It's very hard to see, but she says, okay, it's that house over there, that brown one. And so we drive up to the house, and we see that the lights are on. And so we get out of the car, and I come up to the door, and I ring the doorbell. Now I'm the one who's ringing the doorbell in the middle of the night at somebody's house, right? How interesting. We kind of came full circle, right? So I'm ringing the doorbell in the middle of the night at somebody's house, and the door opens, and of course, who opens the door?
Dad.
Her dad opens the door, and he says, who are you? What are you doing here at my house in the middle of the night? And I say, sir, my name is Sasha, and your daughter showed up at my house about an hour ago. She was drenched and sad, and she was looking for her dog. And at that moment, right as the dad is about to say something, guess who runs up to the dad's leg, right up to the door?
The dog.
The dog. The dog runs up right to the dad's leg and stands there and starts barking at me. I say, there it is. There's the dog. And the dad says, where's my daughter? And so I go to the car and I get my umbrella and I open the umbrella, and then I take Dora out of the car and I bring her to her house and I hand her over to her dad. And she sees the dog and she starts crying because she's so happy, and she hugs the dog. And she's so happy to be home, and she's so happy to have her dog. And we tell her dad everything that happened. But that's kind of a happy ending, right? We got Dora back home. She's safe. Her dad knows where she is. We know everything about this story now. We have kind of a happy ending, but there's one thing we still don't know. What do we still not know?
Where is the mom?
No, we know when the mom is. The mom is at work. What do we still not know?
What?
Sammy, come closer. I can't hear you.
If they're good guys or bad. Something to the dog.
Yeah, we don't know what happened to the dog. Exactly. How is it that the dog got away somehow and then got back home? That's the part of the story that we're missing. That's the part of the story we can't figure out. And so we tell Diora's dad this story and what happened. And Diora's dad says, I wonder how the dog got back inside the house. And so we walk around the house and we go to the back, to the bathroom in the back of the house. And as we're walking, suddenly we see wet footprints. Well, not footprints, but paw prints, right? We see wet paw prints from the dog. Aha, we say. That is a clue, right? That gives us some idea of what might have happened. And that is one of the most important parts of a mystery. There need to be clues, things that help us understand what could have potentially happened, right? So we already had a lot of clues about what could have happened, and we got a lot of information from Dora about her situation, what was going on with her. But now we have a clue about how the dog might have gotten back inside the house while Dora was checking the mail. We see the wet paw prints on the ground, and the paw prints are leading us to the window of the bathroom in the back of the house. And we walk to that bathroom, we walk up to that window, and we see that it's open. And then we look at the toilet that's standing underneath the window, and we see the wet, muddy paw prints of the dog on the top of the toilet, and then on the lid of the toilet, and then on the floor of the bathroom, and then on the floor of the hallway leading from the bathroom, right? Aha, we say. Now we know what happened. While Dora was checking her mail at the mailbox, the dog ran to the house, jumped in through that back window into the bathroom, and made its way, onto the toilet, and then down the toilet and onto the floor and back inside the house. And we know that because the wet paw prints are the clue. It's the thing that gives us the information. Aha, that's what happened, right?
Wet, dirty paw prints?
Dirty paw prints, muddy paw prints, because it was raining, right? So we know now how the dog got back inside the house. And so now the last part of our story is simply the fact that we have a satisfying ending, right? We have a satisfying ending, and there's another part of the story which I got.
And the dog's name was Lemon.
The dog's name was Lemon, yeah. So we have.
And then also Kyler was dad ran to hug her.
Yes, definitely. Kyler, the brother, ran over to hug her. So there's one other part of the story that we didn't really talk about, but we kind of had it a little bit. It's called red herrings or false clues, right? Yes, Juliana.
I have a magic trick.
Hang on a second. Let's finish this first. So false clues are things that seem like they might be important, but they end up not being important, or they lead us down the wrong path. We had a couple of false clues, right? The mailbox was one. We thought maybe the dog jumped into the mailbox, right? That was kind of a false clue. Yes, Rami?
I think in 5 minutes. I will need to go because I have a doctor appointment in 3:10.
Okay, got it. Perfect. Okay, fantastic. So we have
Go back and
yes, we will. So we have our whole mystery story, right? Let's go back over this and make sure we did everything correctly. We had our let's go back. We had our hook. We got the part of the story that got us interested in the story, right? We had our hook. We had our setting. It was a dark and stormy night. We had our possibly a crime. The dog went missing, right? Something is wrong. Yes, yes, Mila. Maybe not Mila. You have to be patient, okay? So we had our detective, which was Dove and me. We were the ones that, and also what? And then we had our. And then we had our clues, and then we had a couple of false clues, and finally, let me see. Take off your t-shirt. That might help you. Take off your t-shirt. Up, hands up. Тихо. Let me see. Let me see. It's not too bad. Just a little bit. I'll put some cream on it in a second. Okay, and finally we had our satisfying ending. Иди принеси крем, пожалуйста. Это банка крема, которая is inside the drawer in our bathroom upstairs. It's inside the second drawer. Такая большая белая банка крема. Принеси ее, пожалуйста. Okay. Dove was outside yesterday at the beach, and his shoulders got sunburned, so they hurt. So he wants me to put some cream on them. Okay, so that was our mystery story, right? We had all of those elements, and we told this kind of popcorn story together. Okay, hang on a second. Let me grab.
Он пошел за Глебом вместо.
Не, по-моему, Дов пошел за кремом, потом папа.
Не, но его папа еще исчез.
All right, so we're gonna get ready. We're gonna get ready for telling a mystery story together tomorrow. And today, because I know I promised you guys the puppets would come back, we need to decide.
I also want new puppet and like all the puppets.
Can you see the thief and the police?
No puppet, no puppet, no puppet.
Hold on, Rami. Yes, Juliana.
Can I do the magic trick?
Let me finish this piece first with the puppets. So we need to decide in the story that we tell together tomorrow, who is going to be the person that is in trouble. Is it going to be the girl? Is it going to be Gerardo? Is it going to be Puppet Papa? Or is it going to be Evil Bad?
Evil Bad.
Evil Bad is going to be the person that's in trouble?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And who is going to be our...
Evil Bad is going to be who stole something.
Oh, he's going to be the person that commits the crime? Okay. And who is going to be our person?
And the hero is gonna be Puppet Papa.
Puppet Papa is going to be our detective? Our sleuth? Yeah. Okay.
And Evil Bad will be who stole something.
Okay. And is the girl going to be the person that is our victim? The person that's in trouble?
That's Dove's mom.
Is this going to be the person that's in trouble?
Yeah.
No.
And then Gerardo is going to be the person that is going to be maybe our witness, somebody that can give us some clues about what happened, right? So when we tell our story tomorrow, these are going to be our 4 characters. So we have Evil Bad.
Can we play with the puppets? Can we play with the puppets?
And Evil Bad is going to be our bad guy. Gerardo is going to be our...
can you show us the picture of the thief and the police again?
Sure.
What does the police doing?
He is putting his hands in handcuffs. So when somebody is arrested, they put handcuffs on their hands so they can't move their hands, right?
How about their legs?
Usually not their legs, unless they're like a really dangerous person.
Why?
Well, because usually when they put handcuffs on them, then after that they put them in a police car. So they can't really go anywhere. You know, when you're in the back of a police car, the doors are locked. They don't open from the inside. So once they put you in the back of a police car, you can't escape anywhere. You know. All right. So that'll be that, because that was Mila's special request to use the puppets. Now we know what our puppets are going to do tomorrow, what their roles are going to be in the story.
Sasha,
Yes.
Story. Can we do popcorn story?
We just did it. We just did it all together, right? We told the story all
Sasha.
together. Yes.
Sasha, this
Yes,
is my
Alexa.
speaker.
What?
This is my speaker.
That's your speaker. Okay, so we did a story. We told it together. Tomorrow we're gonna really tell a real popcorn story using our puppets, and it's gonna be a mystery. I know that Juliana wants to do a magic trick, and Juliana can do it. And after that, if you guys want to stick around, I'm gonna read you a short mystery story. If you wanna stay for a little bit longer, okay? So Juliana, show us your trick.
So you see this white?
Yes.
It's two wipes.
Yes. Is that the whole trick? Okay. I think the magic trick would be better if you could put it back together and make it into one wipe again. That would be the really magical part, right? Think about how to do that, and maybe you can try again tomorrow to add one more piece to this magic trick, okay? All right, I'm gonna read you guys a story about a detective whose name is Encyclopedia Brown. Anybody know what encyclopedia is? Encyclopedia is a book that has a lot of information in it, like a lot of information. And the reason they call him Encyclopedia is because, well, why do you think everybody called him Encyclopedia Brown? Because he's really smart, because he knows a lot of things, right? Okay, so I'm going to read you a story about Encyclopedia Brown.
A story with Carado.
What's that, Aya?
A story with Carado.
What is that? Oh, with Gerardo? Tomorrow we'll tell the popcorn story with all the puppets and the roles that we agreed on, okay? We'll do the mystery, but I want to read you guys a mystery story today so you have a good idea of what a mystery is, okay? So I'm going to mute everybody for a second. And I'm going to read you the story of Encyclopedia. So, Mr. and Mrs. Brown, I'm going to actually, you know what, I'm going to share my screen with you so I can see you guys. So, Mr. and Mrs. Brown had one child. They called him Leroy, and so did his teachers. Everyone else in Idaville, which is the city where he lived, called him Encyclopedia. An encyclopedia is a book or a set of books that has information on all branches of knowledge. Leroy Brown's head was like an encyclopedia. It was filled with facts that he had learned from reading lots of books. He was like a complete library, just walking around in his sneakers. Old ladies who did crossword puzzles were always stopping him on the street to ask him questions. Just last Sunday after church, Mrs. Conway, the butcher's wife, had asked him, What is a 3-letter word for a Swiss river beginning with A? R, Encyclopedia answered after a moment. He always waited a moment. He wanted to be helpful, but he was afraid that people might not like him if he answered their questions too quickly and sounded too smart. His father asked him more questions than anyone else because Mr. Brown, Encyclopedia's father, was the chief of police. The town, Idaville, where Encyclopedia Brown lived, had 4 banks, 3 movie theaters, and a little league. That's where you play baseball, right? It had the usual number of gasoline stations and churches and schools and stores and comfortable houses on shady streets. It even had a big mansion or two and some not so nice sections of town. And it had the average number of crimes for a community of its size. Idaville only looked like the usual American town, but actually it was most unusual. Can you close the door, please? I asked you to bring what? And you brought what? Let's close the door. Close the door.
Take a little break.
So, Idaville only looked like the usual American town, but it was really most unusual. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. I'm going to come back here. It was really most unusual. For nearly a whole year, no criminal had ever escaped arrest, and no boy or girl had ever gotten away with breaking a single law in Idaville. This was partly because the town's policemen were clever and brave, but mostly it was because Chief Brown, Encyclopedia's father, was a great police chief, and he had Encyclopedia. The hardest cases, the most difficult ones, were solved by Encyclopedia Brown during dinner in their red brick house. Everyone in the whole state thought that Idaville had about the smartest policeman in the world, but of course nobody knew that it was a little boy who was the mastermind behind the entire town's police force. Now, of course, you wouldn't guess it by looking at Encyclopedia. He looked like almost any 5th grade boy, and he acted like one too, except that he never talked about himself. Mr. Brown never said a word about the advice his son gave him, because who would believe that the best detective in town was only 10 years old? This is how it began. One evening at dinner, Mr. Brown said, "Well, Natty Nat has struck again. He has robbed another store right here in Idaville." "What store, Dad?" asked Encyclopedia. "Well, the men's shop owned by Mr. Dillon and Mr. Jones," answered Mr. Brown. "That makes 6 stores that Natty Nat has robbed in the last month." "Are you sure that Natty Nat was the robber?" asked Encyclopedia. "Well, Mr. Dillon himself said that it was Natty Nat," replied Mr. Brown. He pulled a notebook from his pocket and he put it beside his plate. "Now, I wrote down everything Mr. Dillon, the owner of the store, told me about the robbery. I'll read it to you." Encyclopedia closed his eyes. He always closed his eyes when he was getting ready to think hard. His father began to read what Mr. Dillon, the storekeeper, had told him about the robbery. "So I was alone in the store," said Mr. Dillon. "I did not know anyone had come in. Suddenly, a man's voice told me to raise my hands. I looked up, and I was face to face with the man the newspapers called Natty Nat. He had a gray coat on with a belt in the back, just as the newspapers said. He told me to turn and face the wall. And since he had a gun, I did just like he said. And when I turned around, he was all gone with all the money." Chief Brown finished reading and closed his notebook. Encyclopedia asked only one question. Did the newspapers ever print a picture of Natty Nat? No, answered Father. He never stands still long enough for a picture to be taken. Remember, he's never been caught, but every policeman in the state knows that he always wears that gray coat with the belt in the back. Nobody even knows his real name, said Encyclopedia, half to himself. Natty Nat is just what the newspapers call him. Suddenly, he opened his eyes. Say, the only reason Mr. Dillon thought it was Natty Nat was because of the gray coat, he said. The case is solved. There's nothing to solve, objected his father. There's no mystery. Mr. Dillon was robbed. The man that robbed him was the same one that has been robbing the other stores in the state. Well, not quite, said Encyclopedia. I don't think there was a robbery at the men's shop. What do you mean? Exclaimed his father. I mean, Mr. Dillon wasn't robbed, Dad. He lied about the whole thing from beginning to end, said Encyclopedia. Why would Mr. Dillon lie? Demanded his father. Well, I guess he spent the money himself. Maybe he didn't want his partner, Mr. Jones, to know that it was missing. So Mr. Dillon made up the story and said he was robbed. Leroy, said his mother, please explain what you're saying. Well, it's simple, Mom, said Encyclopedia. Mr. Dillon read all about Natty Nat in the newspapers, so he knew that Natty Nat always wore a gray coat with a belt in the back when he robbed stores. Go on, Leroy, said Mr. Brown, leaning forward. Well, Mr. Dillon knew it would sound much better if he could blame the robbery on someone that people have read about, said Encyclopedia. He said he knew it was Natty Nat because of the coat. Well, that could be true, said Chief Brown. That couldn't be true, said Encyclopedia. Mr. Dillon never saw the back of the man who robbed him. He said so himself, remember? Chief Brown frowned. He picked up his notebook again. He read to himself for a while. Then he shouted, Leroy, I believe you're right. Encyclopedia said, Mr. Dillon only saw the front of the robber. He had no way of knowing that the man's coat had a belt in the back. And he stole the money from his own store and from his partner too, cried Chief Brown, and he nearly got away with it. He rushed out of the living room. Leroy, Mrs. Brown said, did you get this idea from a television program? No, said Encyclopedia. I got it from a book I read about a great detective and his methods of observation. Well, said his mother proudly, this proves how important it is to listen carefully, watch closely, and train your memory. Maybe you'll be a real detective when you grow up. Mom, said Encyclopedia, can I have another piece of pie? Mrs. Brown sighed. She had taught English in the Idyville High School before her marriage. You may have another piece of pie, she said. Did you guys like that story?
Yeah.
Yeah? You guys think Encyclopedia Brown is a pretty smart kid? Yeah?
Is encyclopedia on Russian encyclopedia?
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what it is. That's right. Encyclopedia Brown he's a pretty smart kid. And do you guys remember what he did when his dad was reading him the facts of the case? What did Encyclopedia do?
He told him the right stuff.
His eyes.
He closed his eyes. Very good, Remy. He closed his eyes. Why did he close his eyes?
Because that's what he did when he was starting to think.
Yeah, he closed his eyes because it helped him think and it helped him listen better. Remember a long time ago we talked about the 5 senses? What happens when you take away one of the senses? The other senses become stronger. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Fantastic, you guys. So that was our first story about Encyclopedia Brown. And tomorrow we're going to tell a popcorn story together with our puppets. And I'll read you some more Encyclopedia Brown stories if you like that one.
And I also want pizza story.
And a pizza story. You want to do some Mad Libs tomorrow? We'll do a mystery
I
Mad.
have this spy book.
Oh, very cool. So tomorrow we'll do a mystery Mad Libs, okay? All right, my friends. Wonderful to see you today. Great lesson. Thank you very much. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Okay, bye.